Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy's daily newspaper analysis. Today is 21st January 2026 and let's look at the topics that we are going to analyze today. So the first one is the importance of Pax Silica for India, because recently US has invited India to become part of Pax Silica. We'll understand what is Pax Silica and why it is important for India. The next topic is RBI and the ministry under the government of India has decided to introduce a kill switch and insurance as a tools to fight against digital arrest and other cyber frauds. So we'll understand what is a digital arrest and how kill switch and insurance will help protect citizens from this digital arrest and other forms of cyber crimes. Then we'll also understand Trump's claims on Chagos Island, Diego Garcia, near Diego Garcia, Chagos Island. So we'll understand about this, right? So the first one is about Pax Silica. A very important article has been given in the Hindu newspaper about the importance of Pax Silica for India. So let's first understand what exactly is Pax Silica. Now, Pax Silica is a US-led initiative. US-led initiative, in fact, this initiative focuses on a secure, prosperous and innovation-driven supply chain. Understand that there are emerging technologies, for example, artificial intelligence, semiconductor manufacturing, and even achieving supply chain resilience in rare earth elements. So Pax Silica is a US-led strategic initiative which actually focuses on emerging technologies to achieve supply chain resilience. Understand, when this Pax Silica was founded, India was not part of this initiative. But recently, US has also invited India to become part of this Pax Silica initiative. What are the participating countries as of now except India? Countries like US, Japan, Republic of Korea, Singapore, Netherlands, UK, UAE, Israel and Australia. So these countries are the participating countries of this US-led initiative Pax Silica. Now let's look into the objective and demand or aim of this Pax Silica. If we talk about the objective, the initiative responds to the growing demand to deepen economic and technological cooperation with the US. Understand that, as I have already told you, that there are emerging technologies. The emerging technologies including artificial intelligence, semiconductor manufacturing, securing the supply chains for rare earth elements. So Pax Silica will essentially focuses on these emerging technologies that could potentially benefit the economies, right? So I hope you get a brief idea about the Pax Silica. Now, when it was launched, this Pax Silica was a strategic initiative led by US and it was launched in December 2025. The objective of Pax Silica, as I have already emphasized, it focuses on rare earth elements, it focuses on artificial intelligence, it focuses on semiconductor manufacturing. When it was founded, India was not actually invited to be part of Pax Silica, or India was not a member of Pax Silica. However, recently an invitation came from US that India should also become part of the Pax Silica. Now the term Pax actually means peace. The term Pax signifies peace, while silica refers to a silicon-based semiconductor technologies. So that is how the Pax Silica as a term has been emerged. For example, the silica-based or silicon-based semiconductor technologies, rare earth elements, and for the artificial intelligence. So everything is an integral part of this Pax Silica initiative. So therefore, this Pax Silica initiative symbolizes a stable and cooperative global technology order around the world. Now let's understand what are the core objectives of this Pax Silica declaration. If you look at the core objectives, reducing the coercive economic dependencies. Now, one thing that we should understand, countries like China have a huge domination when it comes to rare earth elements production, processing, and even export. China sometimes may use this for geopolitical advantages. China sometimes may also use coercive tactics when it comes to supplying rare earth elements. The Pax Silica Declaration aimed to reduce these coercive economic dependencies. Secondly, ensuring global technology and artificial intelligence driven supply chains, and even building trusted digital infrastructure. So these are the core objectives of the Pax Silica initiative that US has launched. However, there are concerns. The initiative particularly reflect those concerns, growing concerns about the overdependence on a country like China. For example, India also dependent on China for rare earth elements, critical minerals, and US has also dependent on China. So therefore, the Pax Silica initiative has been reflecting the growing concerns about overdependence on a one single country for critical inputs, and the critical inputs and dependence of these countries on one single country for these critical inputs, it can actually expose the economic vulnerabilities of the countries to the geopolitical coercion by China. So that is the reason this Pax Silica was actually formed. Now on this image you could see that if you look at the global rare earth elements production, processing, and export, in fact, as per 2021 data, so China has 44% of the global rare earth elements, followed by Vietnam, Brazil, and Russia. Right? So in fact, China processes the rare earth metals, China exports these rare earth metals, and China is considered as a dominating country in this area. Right? However, the Pax Silica aimed to reduce dependence on China by cooperating among the member countries in these critical minerals, rare earth elements, artificial intelligence, semiconductor manufacturing, so that they can actually reduce a dependence on a country like China, because it would further increases their vulnerabilities if they continue to depend on China. Now, one thing that we should understand, that as of now, there are several technologies which are emerging as of now, and the global economy is also witnessing the shift. And the shift is towards the advanced technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, semiconductors, digital infrastructure. So you could see that around the world, most of the economies have been experiencing this shift. Now, at the same time, it is very important that every country, every economy must secure supply chains for the critical minerals and rare earth elements. Now, the critical minerals and rare earth metals are highly concentrated. That means they are located in one or two countries or a few countries only. So concentration of rare earth elements and critical minerals would actually pose challenges for a number of countries, including India. Now understand that China currently dominates both critical minerals production and rare earth elements production as well, and therefore it has the processing capabilities as well. No other country in the world has the processing capabilities, because when you extract rare earth elements and critical minerals, it is very important to process them, and this processing requires sophisticated technology, and China has as of now achieved the technology to process rare earth elements. In recent years, it has been used export restrictions. On India also, China has imposed some export restrictions of the rare earth elements and critical minerals. And China is also using this as a strategic tool, as a geopolitical tool. For example, this includes suspending rare earth elements exports following tariff disputes with US. And India too faced disruptions in rare earth element magnet supplies from China to India. Now this disruption has affected India's automobiles and electronic industries badly. So the objective of Pax Silica initiative is to reduce dependence on one single country for critical minerals and rare earth elements that are going to support the industries and the key technologies of these countries. However, during COVID-19 pandemic, it has further exposed the vulnerabilities across the globe, right? Because during COVID-19 pandemic, the supply chains became fragmented and concentrated. So therefore, the countries have started pursuing the diversification and resilience strategies. To the diversification in the sense that after the COVID-19 pandemic, countries like India and other like-minded countries, they have understood that we should not depend on China for these rare earth elements. Rather, we need to look for other countries. We need to diversify it. So that's how we can actually secure the supply chain resilience. And we should also ensure self-reliance when it comes to rare earth elements production, processing, and even using them for various industries. Right. Now, in this context, who are the key members of this Pax Silica? Now understand, India is not a founding member of this Pax Silica, but later India was invited by US to become member of this Pax Silica initiative. Now Pax Silica grouping brings together technologically advanced and resource-rich countries. For example, all the developed and industrialized countries which are democracies are part of this Pax Silica initiative. For example, United States and Japan. So they are considered as technology leaders and they are part of it. Australia is a major lithium and rare earth exporter. So since Australia has the critical minerals and rare earth elements, it is also a member. Similarly, Netherlands has advanced lithographic technologies which could be helpful. And then South Korea for memory chip manufacturing and Singapore for semiconductor fabrication. So these are the essential members or key participants within the Pax Silica initiative. However, Israel has also become member of this Pax Silica initiative because Israel provides expertise in the artificial intelligence software. And it also provides some important technology with respect to defense, cybersecurity, and UK hosts one of the world's largest artificial intelligence markets. Now, apart from these developed industrialized countries, some countries from the Middle East are also part of the Pax Silica initiative. For example, Gulf countries such as Qatar and UAE, they add financial strength through sovereign investment funds. Canada, European Union, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and Taiwan currently participate as observers within this Pax Silica initiative. They are not full-time members, but they are observers of this Pax Silica initiative. And apart from that, the other important details with respect to Pax Silica have been given on this image. And if you look at the founding members of the Pax Silica initiative, so it includes US and 7 allied countries, the close friends of US. We have already gone through those 7 allied countries which are actually part of the Pax Silica initiative. And we know that what exactly is Pax Silica, what is the objective or primary goal of Pax Silica, and India's position. So India is also dependent on other countries for rare earth elements and critical minerals, and India is also eagerly waiting for a close cooperation with the like-minded countries on this front, because India is also looking for diversification of the supply chains, securing supply chains for rare earth metals and critical minerals, right? So therefore, these are some details with respect to the Pax Silica initiative. Now, what is the strategic relevance of India's participation in this initiative? Now understand that India is not a formal member of Pax Silica initiative, but India is just invited by US to become part of the Pax Silica initiative because India also have certain inherent advantages. Because of that reason, if India became member of the Pax Silica initiative, India would also considerably contribute to the growth and development of the Pax Silica initiative. And it is also expected that India would soon become part of the initiative. However, as I have already told you that India has inherent advantages. So therefore, it will further add to the strength of this Pax Silica initiative. Now understand that India is one of the world's most robust digital public infrastructure. So it is a country with a robust public digital infrastructure. And apart from that, India is also known as the one of the largest artificial intelligence market, and we also have the skilled technology professionals in this arena as well. So that's how India would contribute to the success of the Pax Silica initiative. It would further strengthen the Pax Silica initiative. However, the government of India has already launched the Semiconductor Mission and National Artificial Intelligence initiatives, with a significant financial support has been already announced for both these initiatives. And in fact, there are several private companies which are already made investment in the semiconductor manufacturing. For example, Tata Group and foreign companies like Micron indicate growing confidence in India's semiconductor ecosystem. Now, apart from that, a steady return of skilled Indian professionals trained abroad could further strengthen India's domestic capabilities. No doubt that this is an opportunity for India. If India is part of the Pax Silica initiative, it would further strengthen India's capabilities, India's abilities with respect to securing the supply chains of critical minerals and rare earth elements, which are important for emerging technologies, particularly for a country like India. So I hope you have understood this topic. And the next important topic is, in recent times, there is a type of a cybercrime which is growing and which is in prominence, and thousands of crores cybercrime or cyber fraud has been committed in this front. So that crime is known as a digital arrest. So digital arrest in India is a very serious cyber crime. RBI and other different ministries, particularly Ministry of Home Affairs, have focused on introducing certain tools within the devices, within the money platform apps, online UPI apps, the kill switch and insurance to fight digital arrest. So first of all, we'll understand the context, and then we'll try to understand what exactly is the digital arrest and what is the nature of this digital arrest. Now, understand the context is that one thing that we should understand, that India is a country with a huge population, and India is also a country with the financial inclusion. That means almost every individual have access to bank accounts, and India is also a country where the large number of digital payments are being done because of mobile phone connectivity and access to internet. Because of all these reasons, India has become a sweet spot for these online cyber crime. Now, in this context, in recent times, India has been witnessing a sharp increase in the digital frauds, particularly the phenomenon of digital arrest scams. And it has been leading to massive financial losses and erosion of trust in the digital payments across the country. However, in response to this massive digital crime, which is digital arrest, a high-level interdepartmental committee that was constituted by Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, this high-level interdepartmental committee will be examining the systematic solutions. The systematic solutions including kill switch and even a fraud insurance mechanism. We'll be understanding what exactly is kill switch and how this kill switch will help fight digital arrest, and what are these fraud insurance mechanism and how they are going to help. Right, what exactly is a digital arrest scam? We need to understand the meaning of digital arrest scam. So this digital arrest scam is a cyber enabled fraud. Now, in this fraud, the fraudsters impersonate as law enforcement officials via video calls. A person may get a video call from an unknown individual. The unknown individual, who is a fraudster, who impersonate as a law enforcement official. So there are cases that those people who are calling us, they are saying that they are ED officers, they are CBI officers, they are police officers. So they are impersonating the law enforcement officials via video calls. And in fact, these fraudsters were showing a fake IDs, they are showing arrest warrant and even threatening them with arrest. And in fact, the leaked personal data is used to build the credibility. So that is the problem. They might say your Aadhaar number, they might say your address, they might say your phone numbers, the names of your relatives. So the leaked personal data is being used to build credibility by these fraudsters. Now, in this context, if we talk about the social engineering, victims are actually kept under the psychological pressure for hours and days and coerced into transferring money to mole accounts. Right? So these are the fake accounts, and when you are under a cyber arrest, so which is a fraud, which is a cyber fraud, you're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to go anywhere without the permission of the fraudsters, right? Because they threaten you that they will come to your house and they will arrest you and they will take all legal action. But this is not correct. This is fraud, right? So therefore, victims are actually under the psychological pressure for hours, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know or to whom it has to be conveyed. But it is very important that it has to be conveyed to your relatives. It has to be conveyed to the law, the police immediately, or any known friend. So it is very important. And the estimated losses from this cyber crime, particularly the digital arrest. So victims across India are believed to have collectively lost around 3,000 crore rupees in India. In last 1 or 2 years, due to this digital arrest, 3,000 crore rupees have been lost by the victims to those fraudsters. Right now, in this context, Supreme Court has also made an intervention, and Supreme Court has also taken this matter very seriously and the cognizance of the issue as well. So I hope you have understood what exactly is a digital arrest. Now, what are the key proposals which are under the consideration of this high-level interdepartmental committee that has been appointed by the Ministry of Home Affairs? Now, in fact, when money is transferred from your account to another account, you might use your phone's UPI, right? So in fact, when as part of this, a transaction kill switch will be introduced. Now, the transaction kill switch is an emergency button which is embedded in UPI apps, banking and payment applications, right? For example, if you are using PhonePe, you're transferring money from one bank account to another bank account, one person to another person, using UPI within PhonePe or Paytm or any other app. So they are just platforms, but all these platforms are having inbuilt UPI. So therefore, these UPI apps now will have a kill switch. If you are transferring money from your account to any fake account, and if they actually found out this, so if the inbuilt system is actually found out, then the emergency button will be activated, which is a kill switch, immediately preventing your transactions from your bank account to the fake account. So this is to protect a victim or protect persons not falling prey to these digital arrest or any other cyber crime, because there will be a data, and these apps, the inbuilt systems, will get to know whether any account is a mule account, a fake account, right? So if you're transferring any money, then immediately the transactions will be blocked. It will block your UPI application for some time as well. So to prevent you transferring money from your account to the fraudster's account. Now, once activated, all banking and financial transactions are instantly frozen. So this will prevent further outflow of funds during the suspected fraud. And in fact, the objective of introducing this transaction kill switch aims to create a last mile consumer protection and real-time intervention in fraud scenarios. Right. So how it will be tracked and blocking of the fraudsters' transactions. Now, in fact, exploring systems to identify the suspicious transactions. So transactions which could be suspicious transaction, and then prevent instant splitting funds into multiple mule accounts, and address rapid laundering techniques used by these fraud networks by protecting the people or the victims. Right now, in fact, there is also a debate about the fraud insurance mechanism. How about introducing an insurance? A proposal to introduce an insurance coverage for fraud related losses in the banking as well. And then driven by increasing scale and sophistication of digital frauds, and recognition that the traditional audits and compliances are insufficient within the banking system as well. Now, if you look at the data, how India is vulnerable to the cybercrime. So over the years, the cybercrime has been increasing every year on year, right? So you could see that year on year, the cybercrime rate has been substantially increasing in India. So that is alarming and a key concern. Now, in this context, what should be the key challenges? Now, if we talk about the key challenges, there is an operational complexity. For example, avoiding misuse or accidental triggering of the kill switch will prevent the transactions. Even genuine transactions also might be prevented. Secondly, technology-based safeguards must be introduced. For example, artificial intelligence-driven fraud detection and transaction velocity checks have to be introduced. And then interoperability is very important. For example, uniform adaptation across all the banks, UPI platforms, and fintech apps. Then we need to talk about strengthening the coordination between all the banks, insurance companies, and the regulators, and even tech platforms. So the coordination and cooperation among all these agencies is very important for the success, and at the same time preventing such digital errors or cyber crimes. And then the risk of reduced consumer vigilance if insurance is guaranteed, and consumer awareness, particularly nationwide campaigns on digital arrest scams have to be introduced, and regulatory coordination, particularly from Reserve Bank of India, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, Ministry of Information Technology and Communication. Banks must act in sync. And then there should be a regulatory clarity, there should be a legal backing as well. Particularly, there is a need to bring amendments within the existing Information Technology Act and the banking regulations for rapid response in case of any cyber crime. And then the coverage gaps, particularly the cyber insurance is inadequate for the social engineering fraud, where the victims are under the psychological pressure and they transfer a huge amount of money to the accounts of the fraudsters. Right, so these are the key challenges, and these are the steps that you have to take. Next important topic is about the Chagos Island. Recently, US President Donald Trump slams UK because UK has decided to hand over Chagos Island to Mauritius. Now understand this, Mauritius is an Indian Ocean island nation. Mauritius was a colonial state under the British. Like how India was under the British administration during the colonial times, Mauritius was also under the control of the British. However, in 1960s, British gave independence to Mauritius. So when British gave independence to Mauritius, Chagos Island was also part of Mauritius, but Britain separated Mauritius and Chagos Island, and it kept Chagos Island with it because there is a very important military base for UK and US in the Chagos Island. Because of the military reasons, because of the strategic reasons, UK kept this Chagos Island with itself. However, there are a lot of people who are actually living in this Chagos Island at that point of time, but they were actually displaced when Mauritius has got independence and US and UK have established a military bases, or they actually owned this Chagos Island. But recently Mauritius has actually claimed this Chagos Island, that it belongs to them. So therefore UK must return this Chagos Island to Mauritius on immediate basis. Now in this context, there was an agreement between UK and Mauritius that based on this agreement, UK must transfer the ownership of Chagos Island to Mauritius. Now UK has actually transferred the ownership of Chagos Island to Mauritius, but in return Mauritius should be given on a lease for 99 years to UK. Right. So US President Donald Trump actually slams UK's move to hand over the Chagos Island to Mauritius. Why? you have handed over Chagos Island to Mauritius because it is a very important island for security reasons, for strategic reasons. You should not hand over such an important island to Mauritius, right? So therefore, US President Donald Trump criticized, not former president, so current President Donald Trump criticized UK's decision to transfer the sovereignty of this Chagos Island to Mauritius. Now understand, this Chagos Island currently belongs to Mauritius. Mauritius is an Indian Ocean island nation, and these Chagos Islands are also located within the Indian Ocean, right? So in fact, despite earlier US has supported the handing over of Chagos Island to Mauritius, but now Trump has actually reversed his stance and he slammed UK for this move. So Trump has been arguing that it might undermine the national security of US and UK, and it also risks a strategic advantage for China and Russia if this island is handed over to Mauritius, because there is increased presence of Chinese and Russian in the Indian Ocean. So therefore, if there is a Chagos Island, that will help UK and US maintain continuous military presence in the Indian Ocean region. In recent times, Indian Ocean region and its importance has also been increasing a lot. So that's why US President Donald Trump slammed this move. So he even called the UK move as great stupidity, questioning the rationale behind relinquishing control over a strategically vital Indian Ocean territory. And in fact, US President Donald Trump has also highlighted the presence of major US naval and bomber base on Diego Garcia within the Chagos Island, and calling it an indispensable for American and allied military operations. Right. So in fact, US President Donald Trump has also argued that this decision signals strategic weakness on the part of UK, and it will potentially strengthen China and Russia's presence in the Indian Ocean region, and they now might have the advantage. Right. So in fact, in recent times, US President Donald Trump has been making claims to capture Greenland. And similarly, he also slamming UK why you handed over the Chagos Island to Mauritius, right? So in fact, if you look at the location of this Chagos archipelago, so this is the Chagos archipelago. So this Diego Garcia is a military base of US, and this Chagos Island or Chagos archipelago belongs to the Mauritius. So Mauritius is also an Indian Ocean island nation, right? Now in this context, United Kingdom and Mauritius have actually signed a deal in May 2025, ending 200 years of British sovereignty over the Chagos Island. So that means, so before this agreement signed between UK and Mauritius, so UK was enjoying the sovereignty. So it was around like 200 years of British sovereignty over this Chagos Island or archipelago. Now, under this agreement between UK and Mauritius, Mauritius gains the formal sovereignty, while UK leases back the Diego Garcia for at least 99 years to ensure continuity of the joint US-UK military base. So this Diego Garcia military base is a joint US-UK military base, right? So in fact, this base hosted 2,500 personnel, mostly Americans, and it also plays a very important role in this Indo-Pacific power projection of US, right? So in fact, British opposition parties also don't like handing over this Chagos archipelago to Mauritius, right? So initially US government has welcomed it, but later US President Donald Trump has started slamming this decision taken by the UK. So anyway, that's all for today, and I hope you have understood these topics. And thank you so much. So please subscribe our YouTube channel and also like a video. Thank you.